Hello Math 45 students, this is your instructor Cindy Enrique. We are going to continue Chapter 2, page 10, section 2.3, Models and Applications. So for the first example, it says find a linear equation to solve for the following unknown quantities. One number exceeds another number by 17. Their sum is 31. Find the two numbers. So as you can tell by the title of this section, this is about models and applications, which is a fancy way of saying that these are going to be word problems. So you want to make sure that you really digest the information and write down as much as possible to help yourself come up with an equation. So here are some steps up below or up above. It says identify known quantities. Well, what we know is that one number exceeds another by 17. So here, what they are really saying is that we have two numbers. So let's say that the first number, we have no idea what that is. And when we don't know what something is, we usually refer to it as x. Now, for our second number, well, what we know is that it exceeds it by 17. So exceeds, it's another way of saying more. And in math, that's the same as saying it's added, okay? It's being added to. So this would be x being added to 17. So x plus 17 is what we're going to have. So now, let's put this into an equation. It specifically says that their sums is 31. So what I know is that the first number added, which means sum, right? The sum means to add. So the first number plus the second number is equal to, and it says that it's equal to 31. So we have our first number represented as x, and our second number is represented as x plus 17. And all of that is equal to 31. So now I'm going to combine like terms. So what we have here is we have an x and another x. So that gives us 2x plus 17 is equal to 31. So now to get the x by itself, I'm going to subtract 17 from both sides. So I'm going to have the 2x. And if I have 31 minus 17, that's going to give me a 14. To get the x by itself, since it's being multiplied by 2, then I divide by 2. That is the opposite multiplication. So I get x is equal to 7. So remember, x represented our first number. So I'm going to say that the first number is 7. Now for our second number, well, we know that it's x plus 17. So really it should be 7 plus my 17. And 7 plus 17 is going to give you 24. So now I have the two numbers, the first number x being 7, and the second number, which is the x plus 17, being 24. So again, those two numbers that added together are going to be 7 and 24. Okay, well, I hope that helps. Now let's dig into our second question here. It says there are two cell phone companies that offer different packages. Company A charges a monthly service fee of $34 plus 5 cents per minute talk time. Company B charges service fee of $40 plus 4 cents a minute talking time. Part A, write a linear equation that models the package offered by both companies. So, okay, here we go. So part A. I want to think about these two different companies. So let's say company A has the monthly service fee of $35 plus 5 minutes talking time. So this type of equation is going to be the y is equal to mx plus b. This is a linear equation, okay? So we know that m is going to be our slope. It's also our rate. And it's also whatever it has that per, okay? And the other thing that we have here is going to be our b value. Our b value is usually our y-intercept. You can usually call that your initial fee. Initial or flat fee. And that'll help us with some of the language here. So here, the $34 plus the 5 cents per minute. So here, that per tells us that it's going to be our slope. So that is going to be our m. And so that flat fee, that monthly fee here is $34. So that $34 is going to be my b value. So now for company A, I'm going to say that y is equal to 0.05x plus 34. Now, I want to do the exact same thing for company B. So let's think about this now. So company B. So for company B, here we are. We have a service fee of $40. So that's your fee no matter what. So that would be my B value. And it says plus 4 cents per minute talk time. So that 4 cents is going to be my M. Okay, that's going to be my rate or my slope. So I'm going to say that this is going to be y is equal to the point, or how about 0.04x plus that flat fee of $40. So now I have my two equations. So I have my company A and I have my company B. Now let's go ahead and say that we've done part A. We wrote a linear equation that models the packages offered by both companies. And again, that linear model was that y equals mx plus b. So for part B, it says if the average number of minutes used each month is 1,160, which company offers a better plan? So this is saying, hey, it's giving us an x value. What's going to be the least amount of money? What's going to be cheaper? So you say, okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to let x equal to that 1,160 plug into company A and company B to find best price. Okay, so we're going to head and make sure to do that. So let's go ahead and start with company A. So for company A, we have y is equal to 0.05. And now that x value that I'm plugging in is 1160. And of course, I still have that plus 34. So I'm going to plug it into my calculator. And when I plug it into my calculator, I'm going to get that y is equal to 92. Now I'm going to do the same thing for company B. I'm going to plug it in. So y is equal to a 0.04. And my x value here is 1160. And I have plus 40. So when I plug that into my calculator and I figure it out, I'm going to get 8640. So don't forget, it specifically says which company offers a better plan. So you're really comparing between $92 and $86.40. Which one would you rather pay? Well, you'd rather pay the one that's cheaper. So that would be the best deal. So I'm going to say company B is the better deal. for when you have 1,160 minutes. Okay. Now I want to go down to part C. So for part C, it's asking me if the average number of minutes used each month is 420, which company offers a better plan? So now we're talking less on the phone. So you're just like, okay, fine. If we're talking less on the phone, which one would be the better deal? So we are going to let my x value equal, and the x value now is 420. Okay. And we're going to do the exact same thing as B. We're going to figure out which one is the better deal. So I have that y is equal to 0.05. Now the value that I'm plugging in is 420. And I have my plus 34. And of course, again, this is company A. And when I plug that into my computer, I'm going to get this as 55. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing for my company B. So I have y is equal to 0.04, and the x value that I'm plugging in is 420, and it's plus 40. So when I plug that in, my answer is going to be $56.80. So again, which would you rather pay? Would you rather pay $55 or would you rather pay $56.80? Well, hopefully you want to pay the one that's cheaper. So the one that's cheaper is company A. So here, company A has a better deal for 420 minutes. So it really just depends on the minutes here, okay? Depending on the plan. So there's also a part D that we want to figure out. So we did A, we did B, we did C, now part D. It says how many minutes of talk time would yield equal monthly statements from both companies. So basically the key word here is equal. When will these two companies be equal? So what you do is you set each equation equal to each other. So for equation A, we have that 0.05x plus 34. We want to know when it's going to be equal to my company B, which is that 0.04x plus 40. This is going to tell me when the cost is going to be equal for both plans. So we just want to make sure that we isolate one of the variables here. So let's go ahead and subtract 34 from both sides. Well, when I do this, I'm going to get a 0.05x is equal to my 0.04x minus 34. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract my 0.04x from both sides. Well, then that's going to give me a 0.01x is equal to, oops, and I forgot something here, didn't I? I forgot that I also had a positive 40. So I want to combine these two numbers together. I don't want to forget to do that. So here, don't forget that I'm combining my negative 34 and my positive 40 here. So when I have positive 40 minus 34, I get a positive 6. Now I'm going to divide. So divide by 0.01, divide by 0.01. So I'm going to get that x is equal to, and 6 divided by 0.01 is 600. Don't forget that the x represents the minutes here. So 600 minutes for the cost to be equal for both plans. And that is going to be your final answer. So now we have finished everything for our word problem, right? We have completed part A, part B, part C, and now part D. Perfect. Well, I hope this is all making sense to you. If not, always feel free to email me. Now, for our next example, it says it takes Andrew 30 minutes to drive to work in the morning. He drives home using the same route, but it takes 10 minutes longer. And he averages 10 miles per hour, less than in the morning. How far does Andrew drive to work? So for this type of equation, I have a distance, I have a rate, and I have a time. So this type of problem is a distance is equal to rate times time, okay? And in this particular thing, we always want to make sure that we put time in terms of hour. So put time in hours. So we don't ever want minutes or seconds, right? We really want to make sure that we stick to hours. So you want to be careful here. So here, if I'm thinking about 30 minutes, well, let's do this over to the side. If I have 30 minutes, that represents 30 minutes over 60 minutes. If I'm thinking about an hour, okay? So now when I reduce this, I'm going to have a 1/2, which is same as 0.5. So really this is something as saying 30 minutes is equal to 0.5 hours. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing over here. It says that it takes him 10 minutes longer. So if I have 30 minutes and it's 10 minutes more, that's going to give me a total of 40 minutes. So if I have 40 minutes, that's going to be my 40 over my 60. Now reduce that, that's going to be 2/3 of an hour. And it's okay if I leave it as a fraction, that's fine, okay? All right, so now I know what 30 minutes is. It's 0.5, or it's half an hour. And 40 minutes would be 2/3 of an hour. Okay, so let's think about this. So I want to think about his drive to work. Well, for his drive to work, we have that distance is equal to rate times time. So it says it takes Andrew 30 minutes to drive to work in the morning. So we know that when he goes to work, it takes him the amount of time. The amount of time here is half an hour. So distance is equal to rate. So what we have right here is that my time is equal to 30 minutes. And that 30 minutes, remember, was really half an hour. So we have that distance is equal to rate times 1/2, or better yet, distance is equal to 1/2 times r. Okay. Now, we know some other things. We know the drive to home. So the drive back home, it says he drives home using the same route, so that means the distance is going to be the same, but it takes 10 minutes longer, okay? So 10 minutes longer, so we have our distance is equal to, and he averages 10 miles per hour less than in the morning. So this 10 miles per hour, that is going to represent my rate. And if it's less than, if something is less than, then you're thinking about subtraction. So I know that distance is equal to rate times time. And in this case, my rate is 10 miles per hour slower. So my rate is slower. So I'm going to say that my rate is minus 10. And also, I have my time. My time is 10 minutes longer, which we already said was going to be my 40 minutes if it's 10 minutes longer. And 40 minutes we already said was going to be 2/3 of an hour. So now what this looks like, if I just rearrange it, distance is equal to 2/3 r minus 10. So now what you want to do, I have two equations and they both have distances. So we are going to set distance equal to each other. So I have my first equation, distance is equal to 1/2 r. So I have my 1/2 r. I'm going to say that's equal to my other distance. So the other distance is 2/3 r minus 10. So I'm going to have 2/3 r minus 10. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is distribute. So when I distribute that 2/3, it would be 2/3 r minus, and 2/3 times 10 would give me a 20/3. Now from here, what I want to do is I'm going to subtract 2/3 from both sides. And again, you can do this on your calculator if you need to, and I can show you, right? So I would have my fraction. I would have my 1, my 1/2 minus, my other fraction here would be my 2/3. So I'm just making sure I'm using my fractions here. So 1/2 minus 2/3 is going to give me a negative 1/6. So now that I have negative 1/6 r is equal to a negative 20 over r, then what I want to do is I want to multiply by the reciprocal. So that reciprocal would say, oh, I would multiply it by a negative 6. And that should give me my answer. So, okay, let's think about this. So I have my fraction. The fraction here is a negative 20 over 3. And it's going to be multiplied by a negative 6. A negative 6 on both sides. So that gives me that r is equal to 40. So that's going to be my rate. Now as a negative 6, I multiplied on both sides. So now I found out my rate. Perfect. But remember, the question is asking me, how far does Andrew drive to work? So I really want to know the distance. So to find distance, plug r equals to 40. So I don't know, let's deal with the first one. I have that distance was equal to 1/2 times r. So that r value that I'm plugging in is going to be 40. So my distance is half of 40, 1/2 times 40. Well, half of 40 is going to be 20. So Andrew drives 20 miles. So all of that work to get down that, my answer should be 20 miles here. Okay. We have one last word problem, and then we're done with this section. Hooray! So it says, the perimeter of a rectangular outdoor patio is 54 feet. The length is 3 feet greater than the width. What are the dimensions of the patio? So for me, English is not my first language, so when I used to see dimensions, I always had trouble with that until a professor just told me, hey, those dimensions, all that really is the fancy way of saying length and width. So if you're ever, doing remodeling on your home or something, they say, oh, what are the dimensions of your living room, or what are the dimensions of the floor? Then they really just want the length and the width, okay? All right, so again, the shape. So the shape here is rectangular. So, I'm not the best drawer in the world, but I think I can draw a rectangle. Or better yet, I think we have shapes. So here's going to be my rectangle. Oops. I guess I can't. That's okay, I tried. So let's just go ahead and draw it then. So there is my rectangle. That's fine. It says that the perimeter of the patio is 54 feet. So that means everything on the outside is going to be 54. So I'm going to go ahead and write it over here. So that the perimeter is equal to 54. And hopefully you guys remember that perimeter is adding all the sides together. Well, it says that the length is 3 feet greater than the width. So the width here is the point of reference. We don't know what that is. So then that's your point of reference. So the width is the I don't know. So you can give it any variable. Let's just give it W. You could call it X, but why not keep it simple? W for width. So not only does it have one width, but since it's a rectangular, it has two widths. And I know that the length is 3 feet greater than the width. So greater means to add. So I'm going to have W plus 3. So all of those sides added together is going to give me the perimeter. Or better yet, I know that perimeter is really equal to 2L plus 2W. So I'm going to go ahead and plug in my values that I already know. So I know that my perimeter is 54. That is equal to 2 times my length. My length here is W plus 3. Plus 2 times my width. And my width here is just plain old W. So I'm going to have that 54 is equal to 2W plus 6, because I distributed that 2-1, plus 2W. So when I'm adding these W's together, 2W plus 2W, that's going to give me a 4W. Now I can subtract 6 from both sides, and when I subtract 6 from both sides, that's going to give me 48. Now, to get the W by itself, since it's being multiplied by 4, I divide by 4, divide by 4. So now I get that W is going to be 48 divided by 4, which is going to give me 12. So now I can say with confidence that my width is going to be 12 feet. And my length, I can figure that out. Remember that your length was really W plus 3, and that W value was 12. So 12 plus 3 is going to give you 15. So now I have that my width is 12 feet and my length is 15 feet. So now I have found the dimensions of the patio. And that is the end of section 2.3. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. Thank you.